Fees
and override.
Yeah.
Well, when in talking about your override number, would you want to
Technology.
have some ideas about? See, if I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, well, what kind of things are we trying to address, right? So one of the things we're trying to address is our accreditation, right? Another thing we're trying to address is class size at some level. Another thing we're trying to address is electives. The opportunity is lack of study halls, keeping kids out of study halls, okay? So if we look at those areas that we know are important, maintenance would be one of them, If we look at that and say, well, what would be essential to have, not what we need in those areas, because that would really cost too much money, because we really haven't, we're not close to being toward the middle. But like, what kinds of things would need to go in an override budget?
Right, that's what
That
we
would
worked on this morning.
address those, would address those things. Not necessarily what we would, if we could add what we thought was necessary to get us to a $3 million override.
Right.
But the first blush, I
Essentials.
think, should be, okay, this is what we have, right? This is what we have, and this is what we need. Obviously, the first thing would be to save the things
Restore.
on this list,
Right.
right? And then if there's something beyond that, that's very justifiable, that addresses those priorities that the community has told us are important and that we feel are important, and then be able to justify everything. So for example, if it was important as one of the priorities to to maybe put a portion of the athletic, I think I'm going to Dave's point now, to say, co-curricular activities in athletics are important. So if we're going to go for an override, to go to the taxpayers, and we're going to say to them, you're going to increase your taxes, but you're not going to be paying as high as an athletic fee. If we said, let's put $100,000 in the budget, right, and lower the fees to $300 a sport versus $450, $500, $600, increase the capacity of being able to offer those sports and allow kids to be able to play, right? You'd be acknowledging that's important, and it'd be important but the community's going to have to agree that that's important.
And I'm
right?
playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
what I'm hearing people say already in the back of my head is
Yep.
that impacts a very not less than half of the student body.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about those athletic fees are for the middle high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm
Wait a
thinking.
minute. Okay, well, it affects half of the. I mean, it's a great proportion of the kids in the middle high school.
Right, but
What
I'm talking about the
percent-
student body.
What
No, I
The
percent
town,
of
the
the
school
total?
department.
Right.
When you start putting things like that in an override, and these are just, I'm hearing, I already know who's going to be saying this in my head.
Yeah.
You're going to lose support for that part, for the override. People may vote no because they feel like if they're going to increase their taxes, they want it to go to technology, to teachers, to.
Right.
I'm not suggesting those things wouldn't
No, but
be
I'm
in
just
the
saying,
override vote.
and I'm
All
not
all
saying that,
saying
Carol.
is-
I'm saying that we need to think as a group about
Okay.
the way to sell an override to the town. And we have to be very specific, and I think
And that's
that.
exactly, you and I are saying the same thing. All I'm trying to say here is that that's just an example. I could have
Right,
picked,
and I'm
I could have
just
picked elective
playing
teachers.
devil's
I could have-
advocate. I'm just
but
telling
I
you.
think the important thing to do is to link everything that you would put on that list.
I'm thinking
to a
technology and
priority.
maintenance.
Yeah.
To a
and-
priority.
It's technology. and
But I hear
maintenance.
just as many people saying, I don't think technology is as big a priority as kids being able to play for sports and having enough teachers in the classroom. I want my class sizes to be low and reasonable. So everybody's going to have a different opinion, and so that's
Mr.
the
Lucia, do you
challenge
have
with.
something to say?
That's the challenge with this, you know.
I just want to share, and Ann and Carol can back me up on this one. I heard Janet Allison very, very strongly say that our fees, she didn't use the word unacceptable, but that's
Came
what
pretty
she led me
close.
to believe. In her words, that activities in athletics, they consider that part of the curriculum. And she was very surprised that we weren't on warning for
Curriculum.
Standard 7 Community Resources for Learning and curriculum, because all of the schools that are on warning for community resources for learning are on warning for curriculum. Because the idea about that is that without that money, you cannot effectively deliver the curriculum. So
Because co-curriculum is part of.
I would
co-curriculum
not
is
be
part of the
surprised if we don't do something with our fees, it's gonna have a negative effect on our status with our curriculum.
And I appreciate that, but I'm just, like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yep.
Then leave them the way they are. And you know, and this is,
Mhm.
these are just things we're gonna have to talk about it. We're just
Yeah,
gonna have to talk
yeah.
about it more, but again,
that's what you should
people
do.
in town need to say, and, you know, and I don't wanna, you know, and if people's only priority is the sports fees,
No, no.
well, that's fine, that's their priority. But I think we need to be very mindful of the entire group of students
Absolutely.
that we're dealing with and how our decisions now are impacting the entire student body.
Right,
Very
and
true.
our, and our discussion
Very
last,
true.
and our discussion last week was about special ed, it was about class size, it was about, it
Yep.
wasn't just about.
It was
No,
out,
no.
it was losing electives, it was children
Yeah.
being
Right,
in more
so
study
that's what I'm
halls.
saying, if you decide what your priorities are that you've heard from the community, and then if you determine as you're listing things, right, some will make it in and some won't make it in, but if you can link it to one or two priorities, then I think it's easier, it's more easily defended to the public. The public can understand, so you're not just putting, let's just pretend, you're not putting, you know, money in for athletics because you think it's a priority, you're putting it in because it links directly to a goal that you have for accreditation, a goal that you have to lower user fees. It takes the emotion out of it and makes it a more objective process. That
I
would just
think
be my
that's-
suggestion
I
to
think
you.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think that that's a huge part of the reason why we really need to be made to understand exactly that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that needs, you know, you guys need to stand at the top of buildings and megaphone that out. And,
Yeah.
you know, using the social media and using different parent groups, PTA, whatever,
And it
whatever's
goes back and
happening out
forth
there.
though, because we
What's
also,
that?
it goes both ways,
Right.
because we're gonna need to
Yeah.
hear,
Right.
is the issue, are people's, you know, overarching issues, electives, is it class size, is it study halls, is it athletic fees? What is it? Because the worst thing that'll happen is we'll go through this exercise and come up with what we think are the priorities based on what we hear from people, and then get 9,000 emails the next day saying, oh, I watched the meeting and I saw you didn't do this. Well, day late and a dollar short.
Right.
So we need to
We
hear
can't read minds.
now, like
Yep.
in between now and I'm thinking the
The
24th.
24th, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and, you know, send us emails because we'll print them. We'll print them and we'll have a list. And that's what we can, you know, that's what we can work from when we do our discussion.
Yeah.
You know, and if you participate, great, thank you. If you don't complain later. That's all I can say, you know.
Because we've gotten some good emails, we've gotten some letters from people, and it, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
clearly outlines where their
Yeah, I
priorities
mean,
are.
I've
Obviously
heard some,
people are
I've heard some
concerned.
great idea. Very
Yeah.
I
great
mean, we're all
ideas from
concerned
people.
and, you know, the fact that you all showed up tonight says a lot because nobody ever comes to our meetings. You know?
To your public hearings even, right?
Yeah, yeah. We had 2 people at our public hearing last year and we were excited. So, all right, I think we're done for tonight.
Yeah.
There's no executive session.
No executive
All right,
session?
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Excellent, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Do you have to work tomorrow?
Thank you.